A historical moment in the figurine, a special jump was conquered. It was made by the American Ilia Malinin, who calls himself the god of quads. U.S. modest tournament. The International Classic in Lake Placid is now the birthplace of a great achievement. Here, 17-year-old American Ilia Malinin in a free program clearly performed a quadruple axel, a jump that no one had succeeded to this day. Malinin was getting closer to the heaviest element for several months. The axel was getting clearer and more often in training, and now, the first competitive attempt for pluses. With a base cost of 12.50 points, Malinin received another plus 1.00 go from the judges, grade of executive. Ilia Malinin was deservedly considered the favorite of the competition, but 2 falls in the short threw the young prodigy to 6th position. The gap from the leader was about 12 points. Will Malinin take risks with a large number of quadruple jumps? Will he decide to go for the most difficult quadruple axel that he showed in training? Indeed, at the beginning of the season there is still nowhere to rush and force the form, and the Challenger Series tournament is not the place where you need to gnaw out victory at any cost. However, Ilya himself clearly thinks otherwise. In his group, he was supposed to go first. This imposes additional difficulties. There is no time to rest after a 6-minute warm-up. The Russian-American was visibly nervous as he took his starting position. Then there was a slight hitch with the music, but Malinin smiled in anticipation of the first chords of his free program. In a few seconds, Ilya began to make history. He took a risk with a quad axel and successfully landed it. The departure turned out to be shaky, and if desired, the technical panel could under-rotate at least a quarter of a turn. But no, in the protocol the element is counted clean and even received small pluses from the judges. Malinin became the first figure skater who submitted this jump at the competition. Before him, only the Japanese Yuzo Rohanyu and the Russian Artur Dmitriev showed unsuccessful attempts. Although Yuzu's millions of fans will still believe that Yuzu was the first, his attempt at the Beijing Olympics is far from what Malinin did. The legend of the rental did not exactly end there. The skater switched to the usual quadruple jumps, which have already been performed more than once in competitions. Well done by Tolup. Something went wrong with the Lutz, a fall. Salcho is fine too. From the second Lutz, Ilya left uncertainly, but still managed to attach a triple salcho through the Euler, so as not to receive an additional deduction for a repetition without a combination. For dessert, apparently, he saved the easiest jumps for him. Flip toe loop 3-3, no problem at all. The triple Lutz triple axel is the last element in the free program, in general, something from the category of incredible. Before Malinin, no one performed such a cascade either. But this is understandable. Until this season, the sequence was losing a decent percentage of the base value, so there was not much point in it. Mid-September, the beginning of a new season. Malinin scores 108.69 points for technique, and this is with a fall and dirty exits. What will happen next? Jumping genius Nathan Chen averaged just over 101 last season. In Lake Placid, Ilya showed 102.47 points. This is not the limit, you can get a little more for the track in rotation of the 4th level. Malinin was given the 3rd. Plus, he has only 1 repetition of the jump involved, and if the triple flip is replaced with a Lutz, it will be 0.6 points higher. That is, the maximum score will be 104.13 points only in the base cost, not to mention judges' allowances. And if he has enough strength, then you can try to insert another quad. The same Rittberger. The quadruple axel is, of course, completely underestimated. According to the base, it is only 1 point more expensive than the Lutz. For comparison, the Trixel is 2.1 points more difficult than the triple Lutz. In a good way, the cost of Kraxel should be estimated at about 15 to 16 points. But this is already a question that the Americans will certainly raise at the next ISU Congress. Ilya is delighted. It was really great. In training, it's pretty easy for me to figure out how to get the timing right and everything else to get a good try. Doing it in competition is a different story because nerves and pressure can get in the way. So you have to treat it like I'm at home, and everything is going well. In March to April, I really began to work on the technique and try to improve it. Yuzuru Hanyu definitely inspired me to try. The quad axel was the last of the quads that no one landed successfully in competition. All other quads have been performed for a long time, however, it took 28 years to master this set. If the quad toe loop was made in 1988, then the first Rittberger and flip were expected until 2016. If you count with a quadruple axel from Malinin, then 34 years old. The quadruple axel is a very special story. Before Malinin, only 2 skaters tried to conquer him at competitions, our, and now American, Artur Dmitriev and the Japanese Yuzuru Hanyu. Dmitriev tried the axel for the first time at the 2018 Russian Grand Prix, fall, downgrade to a triple, then there were more runs, but unsuccessful ones. Artur also tried a super jump at the 2022 US Championships. He changed citizenship in the fall of 2021, and there, perhaps, the best attempt in his career came out. He stood on his feet, touching the ice with his hand. Hanyu also got close to the quadruple axel several times, most recently at the 2022 Olympics in Beijing. Under rotation and a fall probably cost the medals. However, Hanyu is the first skater to have a quadruple axel attempt recorded at international tournaments, albeit an unsuccessful one. After the rental, the Japanese was proud of himself. Despite the 4th place, I think today I was pushing the boundaries. No matter how difficult it was for me, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has high hopes for me. I've been doing a lot better with the quad axel lately. Yes, at this Olympics I did not realize this dream, but I worked very hard for this. If I had given up the quad axel, I could have done a more expensive combination, but the quad axel attempt has become my pride. It makes me feel more complete. That's why I went for it. Is the jump really that hard? Yes, there are several factors involved. Firstly, the axel landing is facing forward, unlike all other jumps. This means that he has half a turn more, and then the quadruple axel is in fact a jump of 4.5 turns, which is already closer to 5. Secondly, the quadruple axel is not very relevant in competitions. The risks are too great and the return in the protocol is too small. Its base value is only 12.5 points, and, for example, the quadruple Lutz has only a point less, 11.5. And this is strange, because the difference in points between triple and quadruple jumps is usually about 2 times, or even more, but for some reason not in the case of the axel.